Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing this new California law. There's a shocking new law that's threatening Christians, that not only threatens parental rights, but possibly sets Christians up for potential persecution. Let's take a look at this rather alarming legislation, which could have far-reaching consequences for families nationwide. Now, the Bible, specifically in the second chapter, Timothy 3, clearly emphasizes that those who live godly in Jesus Christ will face persecution. However, many Christians in North America tend to shy away from this truth. In the society in which we live in, moral decay and depravity have seemingly become prevalent, despite the fact the majority of the population identifies as Christian. This paradox can be attributed to Christians who are not willing to stand firm on the gospel's truth and accept the consequences. Instead, they choose to please humans rather than God. The Bible also warns us of imposters, wolves in sheep's clothing, that claim to be Christian but are not. They promote a false gospel, and many churches these days fall victim to it, and Satan has walked into the church. We now see this shift in North America, as the government has joined the church's persecution. The government involvement represents a new Christian era. Here is a new bill by the California government.
California Assembly Judiciary Committee has recently advanced a bill known as the TGI, Transgender, Gender Diverse and Intersex Youth Empowerment Act, aimed at safeguarding LGBTQ+ youth and encouraging parents to affirm their child's gender identity. Assembly Bill 957, introduced by Assemblywoman Lori D. Wilson, initially focused on considering parental affirmation of a child's gender in custody cases. However, it has since evolved to emphasize the importance of affirming a child's gender identity as part of their overall well-being. Affirming a child's gender identity. AB 957 acknowledges the significance of parents affirming their TGI children by including it as a crucial aspect of the child's health, safety, and welfare. The bill allows courts to consider a parent's affirmation of their child's gender identity when making custody and visitation decisions. Additionally, it requires courts to strongly consider that affirming a child's gender identity is in their best interest, particularly when one parent opposes a legal name change to align with the child's gender identity. Opposition and concerns. While AB 957 aims to protect and empower LGBTQ+ youth, grassroots organizations oppose the bill across the state. Some argue that the legislation lacks nuance and fails to account for various factors such as the child's age, mental health conditions, or the persistence of the child's gender identity. Concerns regarding children's mental health have also been raised during the committee hearings. The bill's fate now rests with the California State Senate, where it will undergo further evaluation and a vote. Amendments to the bill are being discussed, highlighting the ongoing deliberations to ensure the effective implementation of the TGI Youth Empowerment Act. How is it targeting Christians? In the current societal landscape, Christians are facing increasing threats and challenges. Progressive activist organizations now have the power to accuse Christians of abuse merely based on their adherence to biblical teachings. This dangerous situation allows these organizations to target Christian households and use their faith as grounds for removing children from their parents' care. The net of persecution is gradually closing in on Christians, isolating them from society and even labeling them as bigots and haters. The indoctrination and influence progressive activist groups have infiltrated various institutions, including schools and universities, to indoctrinate children with ideologies that oppose Christian values. These organizations can manipulate children's minds through public schools and steer them away from faith. Many Christian parents unknowingly expose their children to this indoctrination, resulting in a loss of their spiritual foundation. The pace of societal decay is accelerating rapidly, with significant changes occurring in just a matter of weeks. However, amidst the darkness, it is crucial to remember that God can use persecution for good and strengthen believers' faith. While the current situation may seem dire, the promise of an eternal weight of glory in heaven provides hope and encouragement. The threat of reporting and abuse. A disturbing scenario emerges where a child could report their parents to school-affiliated organizations, such as the GS Alliance Club or LGB organizations, which could then accuse the parents of abuse. Groups like GS Alliance work hand-in-hand with schools, exerting influence and promoting agendas that conflict with Christian beliefs. Parents may not even be aware of their children's indoctrination and transitioning processes without their consent. Moreover, this legislation, spearheaded by Governor Gavin Newsom, showcases a depraved mindset that seeks to normalize and enforce ideologies contrary to traditional values. While this law may initially seem limited to California, its potential implications extend far beyond state lines. The ripple effect. Governor Newsom's ambition to become president and the support he garners from like-minded individuals means that this California law may not remain confined within the state's borders. The danger lies in the fact that those who flee California due to its moral decay often bring their voting habits with them, potentially perpetuating the same destructive policies that drove them away in the first place. The consequences of this pattern could result in similar legislation spreading nationwide. The lack of definition and progressive influence. One of the alarming aspects of this bill is the absence of a clear definition of what constitutes non-affirmation. The power to determine whether a parent deserves to raise their child lies with progressive organizations that harbor animosity towards traditional Christian values. This lack of clarity grants them unprecedented authority over family dynamics and decision-making. This is not the first time Senator Scott Weiner has delved into legislating gender-affirming treatments for minors. In the past, Weiner authored a bill that established California as a sanctuary for minors seeking such treatments. Governor Newsom signed this bill into law, solidifying the state's position as a haven for irreversible medical interventions for children. The fact that taxpayer money is being allocated to support such practices is deeply unsettling. The urgency of awareness and action. The implications of these developments extend beyond geographical boundaries. Individuals must recognize the gravity of the situation and take proactive measures to protect their values, families, and children. Whether through advocacy, engagement in local politics, or even considering relocation, it is essential to address the erosion of traditional principles that threatens the well-being of future generations. The power wielded by the state over families and children is a concerning issue, as their decisions can have life-altering consequences. Ali Beth Stuckey encapsulates this reality, emphasizing that politicians and the state care little about the well-being of individual children. The prospect of having a child taken away and handed over to a system that may not prioritize their best interests is heart-wrenching. The state's disregard for parental love and connection. The state's involvement in the lives of children goes far beyond what they can comprehend or genuinely care about. Politicians do not know individual children's names, birthdays, fears, or joys. Their lack of personal connection means they do not share the depth of concern and love that parents have for their own children. The state's indifference is evident, as they would not shed a tear if a child tragically passed away. Parents invest countless sleepless nights and devoted efforts into their children. However, the state's intervention can strip parents of their rights and leave them powerless. If a child is taken away and placed in a system that may not have their best interests at heart, the parents will bear the burden of heartbreak, sleepless nights, and the pain of witnessing their child's suffering. The politicians who enabled this system are unlikely to show any compassion or remorse. The Christian perspective and potential consequences. In a chilling development, California could potentially take children away from Christian parents and accuse them of child abuse due to their adherence to the Word of God. This raises a profound question for Christians. Will they stand firm in their faith and protect their children, even in the face of such persecution? The implications extend beyond California, as this dangerous precedent may spread to other states. The stance of President Biden on this issue further reinforces the need for vigilance. The notion that there is no such thing as someone else's child defines that our nation's children are collectively our responsibility. Treating transgender children has been a contentious topic, with strong emotions and differing opinions. However, it is crucial to approach this sensitive issue with compassion and respect for individual rights. Legislation, such as that passed on same-sex marriage, demonstrates the commitment to holding individuals accountable for violating laws protecting the rights of others. So what do you think of this new shocking law in California targeting Christians?
Our King Jesus didn't bring us this far to abandon us now. You were called, you were chosen. You were knit together in your mother's wombs, fearfully and wonderfully made. We are called to serve. King Jesus bless you all.